Okay, first time to say all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bashem, Al Shai, Bashem, God, for that. The whole recent IUIC Revelation 13 breakdown, which, or not Revelation 13, but he went, leader IUIC went to the image of the beast. I remember specifically he talked about some type of, being how they get some type of actors portrayed, and like physically actually speak. And multiple versions of the breakdowns in Revelation 13. That alone should tell you that they clearly either they know and they're an act, because like what Nate there's old videos of him teaching the name, so he knows what he's doing. But it's like giving multiple breakdowns, or multiple different versions of the breakdown. Then they're either an asshole or follow them for the gimmicks and the little beauty pageants, little things that they get instead of the actual doctrine. And the quote Black Adam and adding them of Black Adam quote, he said, "You're magnificent." All this religious doctrine, which is why you need additives and auxiliary items to bring people in. Because what for GMS, the doctrine alone is, because like we're not fancy gimmicks or anything, the doctrine alone is enough to draw people in. And like what the word of the Lord is power. And that that power draws in who the Lord wants. But for all these other niggas, they need all these extra things. Why? Because their doctrine is weak. It doesn't have any power. The name Jesus Christ doesn't have any power. Even now, Christians, like so-called Christians, who call themselves believers in Jesus the Christ, they're all demons. They don't really believe, But I'm just gonna go into that really quickly, because when you go into Revelation 13, the whole chapter goes into Esau's beast system being set up. When you go, I'm gonna jump around. Revelation 13:1, and stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the name of blasphemy just go like Esau will actually blaspheme Yahweh Shema Shai through his mouth, but what the lifestyle that Esau pushes is a polar opposite to Yahweh Shema Shai. In every aspect, it's blasphemy and it's an insult to Yahweh Shema Shai. From changing his image to calling him by a different name, to changing the way his people look, to clean leprous Edomites, to their laws literally being the polar opposite of the of Yahweh Shema Shai. And I'm just gonna go this. The seven heads represents the Edomite faction, because once again, this is a power system, an empire. Well, maybe empire not be the right word, but a power system. And there are different Edomite factions that were a part of that power system. The 7 heads are the Greeks, because like what Edomite domination started with the Greeks, and then after that you had different variants of Edomite nation, Edomite dominance. The Greeks, the Romans, Germania Minor, Germania Major, the French, the Spanish, and then the British. And Daniel mentions the 8th head, smaller head that came out of the 7, which is America. It came from Britain with the whole War of Independence in I think it's the 14 or 13 colonies. So once again, these are different Edomite factions, but they're all a part of that beast system. So you can start Revelation 17 and 4. And the 10 horns, it's going to go into that here, but Revelation 17 4. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, which represents royalty. I was about to say decadence, but decadence is associated with Babylon the Great, but royalty. You know, because like what purple and scarlet, those are colors that royalty wore. And with, because like, you know, like how back then when they got dyes from different ways. I forgot where they got dye. I think it was like a shellfish or some shit that they got like the actual purple dye from. But the extraction process of getting these dyes were very expensive. Hence they were usually royalty wore them because, you know, they had the money for it. And the woman was arrayed in purple scarlet color and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a cup in her hand full of abominations, the filthiness of her fornications. Going to, once again, when you take a look in the outside of America, it may look like, you know, this beautiful, great place, but when you get into it, it's full of faggots. Fucking adultery is promoted. Adultery is literally promoted. You know, like at this point in time, it's like, it's not really that much of a surprise, but adultery is promoted. You know, whores on everything. Food is abominable. The lifestyle, the laws are fucking abominable with how they fuck the people over. Your leaders are a bunch of freaks and faggots. It's a spiritually and physically filthy, disgusting place. And those were just like going to the dark web, and you got famous YouTubers that are fucking animals and that are bragging about it on sites like fucking 4chan and shit. Go into that, you know, there's documentaries about that type of shit. You know, these guys who seem like upstanding citizens. There's one YouTuber I used to watch a decade ago. But a lot of his content was pushed to children. Come to find out, this nigga had a fucking OnlyFans, which he was fucking dancing butt ass naked. But this guy would push himself to be like a kind of like a mid-teen to older teen type of, you know, content. Like these guys push themselves as great as good people. But when you get on the back end, they're sick. They're sick, twisted pieces of shit. And they're doing all types of evil. Evil. The woman was drunken with the blood of the saints, with the blood of the martyrs of Yahweh. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. Admiration, you know, because like what America was seen as a woman, and if you would liken these different countries to a woman, America would be well, maybe not so much now because that hoe was worn out, but in her prime, America would be the most beautiful woman on the planet. But and you know, it's referred to as a woman. It's referred to as a whore because all these other heathen nations deal in all manners of commerce with, you know, America. Just like a whore sells herself out for money. America even sold its fucking nuclear secrets out for money. But America sells all of its products. Its borders are wide open to anyone who wants to come in. Come one, come all. Like a whore. Any takers, all takers. Well, it's gonna mention verse 10, and there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and one is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. Because this is Revelation, right? After you had out of the 7, said 5 were fallen. One is, and the other is not yet come. When he comes, he must continue a short space. And what Out of the 7 of 5, there were the Greeks, French, the Spanish, Germanium Major, Germanium Minor. And one is, which is referring to the Roman Empire, because what John the Revelator was in, this is the Roman Empire was ruling when he was living, and says the other is not yet come. And what's that? Out of the 7 kings, the one that wasn't there yet at that time period was Britain. He must continue a short space, and the beast that was and is not, and even he is, because like what? Because the Roman Empire was taken down. The Roman Empire was it was already there, but then it got taken down, and is yet to come. America, which is Rome 2.0, Rome revived. When you go into the Renaissance, the word Renaissance means rebirth. Rebirth of what? Rebirth of class. What I think the word they specifically use is classical culture, and that refers to Roman culture. And says, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and the 8th coming out of Britain, which is America, and is of the 7 and goeth into perdition. America, once again, it's still an Edomite faction. It's a part of that beast system. But this is the point I wanted to get. And the verse 12, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. And those 10 kings are the originators of NATO, because it started out as 10 countries, but then it grew into like 28 now. But the reason why I'm getting this is because it mentions kings, because when we go back to Revelation 13, it mentions a beast and 7 heads and 10 horns. Now you got people that may be able to interpret that in different ways, but when you go to Revelation 17, it goes into 10 horns, and then 7 horns, but then it goes down into 7 heads and 10 horns, but then it goes down into likening those 7 heads and 10 horns into kings. So what are kings are, and like you had different kings that had made alliances and contracts, to unite their nation, maybe temporarily for a war or for whatever, into a bigger economic or war power system. And this is referring to a power structure, Let me see here. Hope that made sense. And verse 3, so Revelation 13:3. I saw one that says, "His were wounded to death," which is Romans, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. Once again, Roman, because like what? Roman culture came back to life through America, and the world wonders after America. Take this whole thing with Elon Musk and the brain chip. Even when America dropped that damn bomb on the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the world was in awe, and they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, "Who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him?" And America got its power structure, its laws, its way of life from Rome, who was able to make war with him. There was a time where everybody on the earth thought that nobody could fuck with America. Now, as the scriptures say, "Our thou become as weak as we," referring to how everybody is pretty much on a even playing field. For example, China, right? China can confidently go up against America in a trade war. I imagine back in the day, America could drop a fucking bomb on you and they'd submit. But America can't do that now because everybody has fucking nukes. Not only that, but it says how the men of Babylon were born to fight, like the the vast majority of men are punk ass niggas. They don't want to fight for their country. You know, the men became as women, weak, pussies, bitches, get bent over like bitches too. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months, which goes into 350 years, which is 1619 to 1969, in which they had, in which America would continue rule in strength and in power. After the truth came out, America started to decline. But the 42 months represents 350 years. And he opens his mouth speak in blasphemy against Yahweh, the blasphemer. His name is tabernacle and them that dwell there in heaven. You know, there you go. That's self-explanatory. You know, like not only does the white man verbally, you know, talk shit about Yahweh Shema Shai, his people, but also he goes even further to. It's like I thought I had to sneeze. He goes even further to put himself up to be you know, the Heavenly Father and his people. I'm just gonna jump down because I'm not like the whole point. I'm sure he fucked up the whole chapter, but I wanted to go to the image. But I just wanted to get the point of how when you go into the image, it's a representation of something. I'm just gonna jump down to it because I just want to establish how, you know, once again, the beast, it's a power structure, it's a system, it's a conglomerate of governments, physical, actual governments. And then even going down to here, did I pass it? No. Verse 11, and I beheld another beast coming out of the earth. He had 2 horns like a lamb and spake as a dragon. 2 horns like a lamb, but spake as a dragon. The Republican Democrat Party, which pushes itself as, you know, both of them say that they care about you people. When they're writing down actual, because like what it says, spake as a dragon. Can a lamb speak as a dragon? Well, that doesn't make sense. Because like what he said, how the image would speak, and this represents, you know, Jesus Christ actually speaking. There's some, you know, literalism in there, if that's a word. But you know, this is all metaphorical. But it says 2 horns lamb speak like a dragon. The 2-party system push themselves as, you know, as they care. You know, as they care about the people who they have, who they have voting for them. But when you actually go into the laws that they put down, they're evil, twisted pieces of shit, such as your tariffs. Trump said, you know, he's make America great again. He's going to save America. The tariffs for China just shot up to like 240 fucking %, and that's going to be reflected in the Americans' prices. They're going to charge Americans more. There's this guy I was watching yesterday, and he mentioned how like with Trump, because I haven't been paying too much attention to that, but he talked about how Trump has been putting in these policies, and they just pretty much plugging in policies and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't. Just fucking scatter shooting everywhere. But he said how, let's say he goes back on the the tariffs or whatever. The guy said how the effects of what Trump is doing is real. You know, the effects of the damage, the further damage being done to the economy is real. That's just something I thought it was interesting, because once again, this guy said, you know, he's savior of America. But here he is, the effects of what he's doing, destroying the fucking country, destroying everything even further. And you Americans have to pay for it. Verse 12, and exercise all the power of the first beast before him, and cause the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound is healed. Rome, you know. And he doeth great one. Did I pass the image? Nah, 15. Yeah, I'm going through. I'm just going to jump down because I don't want to go through it. Like I said, the point was this. Verse 15, he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. So once again, it's established what the beast is. It's a power structure, you know, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So I'm going to go into the word image. Because when you think of an image, you think of what, and I'm just going to go to it. An image is a representation of something. You know, for example, let's say a car brand. You know, what's the image of Chevrolet? What represents Chevrolet? That you know, the little brand that they have, the logo. So what is the logo? You know, what is the logo of America? It's not the guy, because the guy said it was Jesus Christ. See, when you think of Christianity and Jesus Christ, you may think of America, sure. But Jesus Christ himself is not the representation, is not the banner of America. You know, when you think about and because like, let me go back into the verse, because it mentioned and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. Because when you go back into like what this beast was modeled after the first beast, which is Rome. When you think of Rome, you think of what? Roman culture. You know, the first thing that comes to mind is Roman culture. And that the image of the beast should both speak and cause many as will not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And what here in America, you not worshiping Jesus Christ isn't going to get you killed. Now you may be able to argue that in history, but you go into Revelation, this goes into it's future prophecy. This goes into the like I said, the eighth beast that came out of the seven. Rome is a part of that seven. The eighth is America. This is future prophecy. You may have got your fucking head lopped off for not worshiping, you know, Jesus Christ in the past, but now here in America, in that eighth that came out of the seven, that's not the same thing. Now, like what you have the Spanish Inquisition, right? You may be able to say, hey, you don't worship Jesus, you know, they kill you. But once again, when you go into here, it mentions, you know, these wonders, which goes into so-called white man technology, in which the world wondered in awe of. You know, that dropping fire from heaven. This is all going into America and its technological advancement. So I just want to, you know, it's just something I want. So it says icon. I think it's pronounced icon. But it says, and when you go into the word image, an image, figure, likeness, image of the things, use of the moral likeness of renewed man to Yahweh, the image of the Son of God into which true Christians are transformed, is likeness not only to the heavenly body, but also to the most holy and blessed state of mind which Mashiach possesses. Now, you can say that, hey, it says the image of the Son of God. Oh, so it must be the actual image of the Son of God, right? But as you read further, it says true Christians are transformed. It's likeness. It says the image of the Son of God in which true Christians are transformed. Well, are the believers of the Lord going to actually look like him? No. It goes into what? His likeness. Jumping down, but also to the most holy and blessed state of mind. A spiritual likeness. You know, so like what? America embodies the spirit of Rome. It really embodies the spirit of all these other nations. But, you know, once again, when you think of America, it's Rome 2.0. And what in the lifestyle? The image of one in whom the likeness of anyone is seen, applied to man on account of his power of command, to Mashiach on account of his divine nature and moral and absolute moral excellence. So these are not going into physical images. It says an image, a figure, a likeness. These are going, it's like a likeness, different spiritual aspects, not an actual image. Because you can say, hey, when you go into the image of the beast, it speaks. But do people, because like in that image being Jesus Christ, do people listen when went to Christian pastors? Do people listen when Jesus talks? They don't. The vast majority of people on this earth or in America call themselves Christians, but they don't get, like, they do it as I guess the correct word is as an ornament, and one that they don't even keep polished. It's just something for them to say. But even now, once again, there are all of those moral values, all that shit is gone. And it says he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, which is referring to what? To the revival of Roman Empire, Roman culture and lifestyle. And the image of the beast should both speak and cause many who will not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So once again, that's really the key point there. If you worship Jesus Christ here and now in this time, or if you don't bow down to Jesus Christ, are you going to be killed? See, you have people that openly say, fuck Jesus Christ, yet we say it, fuck Jesus Christ, yet nobody shows up with a fucking hammer and with a hammer, an axe, and a hooded robe. You know, the Knights Templar ain't showing up with fucking greaves, gauntlets, and and swords with crossed hilts. The image is going to the lifestyle. Cause like what? If you don't act like what, you're pretty much an outcast if you don't bow down. Cause like what, for example, we know with us, right? One of the holy tenets of America is adultery. If you're not like with niggas, the nigger holy tenet. If you don't commit adultery, they'll look at you like something's wrong with you. If you don't smoke weed, if you don't celebrate holidays, you'll get looked at weird. There's a different vibe to you. And like what, pretty much people will keep their distance for the most part. And going down into here, the main marker of you worshiping the beast is this. Worshiping the image of that beast is this. Verse 16, he calls all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And that's going to the RFID chip. And if you don't take it, because like you're not only going to be an outcast, but you're probably going to get fucking killed for it. Because going to the beast system in which the Amalekites want complete dominance, they're going to use America to do it. The New World Order thing. So if you don't get that chip, which is going to be required for every citizen, just like how it was required for everybody to use a fucking card, a credit card for a bank, to get a bank account for the most part, they can do it. They got everybody to get fucking bank accounts. They can get everybody to do this. Line everybody to fuck up in these damn camps and get it. They can fucking do it. They had everybody going to them doctor's offices and getting their stabby wabby. They can organize, they get the logistics together to do this shit. But this is the main marker of you worshiping that beast, which is why you go into it's not 12, is it? I know it's not 12. No. There's a verse. I know it's a Revelation mentioned cover of the wrath. Let me see. But the scripture, yeah, Revelation 14 and 10. 9. And the third angel followed him, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his right hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. He shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels, in the presence of the Lamb. And what that's referring to the nuclear missiles. So if you take this mark, if you take this image, the punishment is going to be getting hit with nuclear missiles. 13. And what? That's fire. That's burning. And when you go into the law, adultery, you're supposed to be put to death for adultery. One of the main reasons why, the death for taking the mark is going to be so fucking great, especially for the Lord's people, is because it's the highest form of spiritual adultery. This is you completely cutting yourself off from the Lord. Because like what, when you go into the law of servitude, because I don't want to call it slavery, because like there's how Hebrew servant, you could beat the shit out the heathen, but a Hebrew servant, it mentions how if he's under a master and he loves his master, he does, he wants to continue to work for his master. It mentions how you're supposed to brand him with an awl through the ear. And that modern day awl, and like what that signifies, that this man now owns this other person, that this is now his property. And you people, that awl is the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast. And it's a part, and like once again, that going to the lifestyle of that beast system. That's an aspect of it. That's a part of it, if that makes sense. Because I know I changed aspect because like what I remember Nate said the mark of the beast is sin in all its aspects, which is very vague, but it's incorrect. But like, what does that mean in all its aspects? That's why I changed up the word aspect, because that's immediately what came to mind. I didn't want it to be vague or anything. I pray that this is clear, But that shit was nonsense. But yeah. Verse 15, once again, and yet power to give life to the image of the beast, which is the lifestyle of Rome. Because what America came out of is the 8th that came out of the 7th. Out of the 7th. Which is what? Rome. Well, it came out of Britain, but it's Rome revived. Slocky. And Britain is that 7th, but it's Rome revived. Rome 2.0. Power to give life into the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, cause many as will not worship the image of the beast should be killed. You don't bow down to the American system, there's going to be punishment for it. You don't succumb to the laws, wicked though they may be, then there's going to be punishment for it. And if you don't take the RFID chip, what? You're going to be killed. Or there's a, or that's the law that they're establishing, Not everybody who doesn't take it is going to be killed. But that's the intention that so-called white man is setting up, if that makes sense. And it calls all, both small and great, rich, poor, free and bond, receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. But that was pretty much it. Didn't want that to be that damn long. But I hope it made sense. But once again, going to the image, it goes into a likeness. It's not a picture of Jesus Christ, because they're not going to kill you if you don't worship a picture of Jesus Christ, because this is future prophecy. Once again, you may be able to argue, okay, like you had these different Catholic, these different types of fucking Inquisition warrior groups. Because like what, the Spanish Inquisition, right? They came over here, they slaughtered I'm trying to think whether it was the Gad, Reuben, Gad and Reuben, or if it was Issachar and Ephraim. Because I know Issachar, 10 tribes came over here, but you had that, there's Cortez came over here and took down the Mayans and the Incans. And then after that, you had what's that fucker's name? Cristobal Colon. They came and took the native tribes. I'm trying to remember. I think the Spanish Inquisition was with I think it was after Cortez. But you had Spanish Inquisition that came over here, and hey, you no, not yeah. I think it was the natives of Spanish because they say, hey, you forcefully convert, or shit, I can't remember. But it was one through one of those Edomite fucking conquering campaigns over here. They should have Spanish Inquisition that will come over here and say, hey, you forcefully convert or worship Jesus the Christ, or we kill you. There was a point in history where if you didn't worship Jesus, you get killed. But this is not talking about that point. This is talking about after all of that in the future. So once again, with all of this technological advancement, are you going to be killed if you don't worship Jesus Christ? The answer is no. Are you going to have to bow down to the image of Jesus Christ to worship? The answer is no. Here in America, right? Are there any punishments? And like when you go into the elites, do you really think, because like what you have, there's something that's called coexist, which is essentially the word itself, coexist, is made up out of the letters of the different religions of the world. So what? A one world government, a one world religion, a technocracy under the niggas at the top. America is not a religious, it's not a theocracy. They call it a republic, they call it a democracy, they call it a capitalist society, but a theocracy is a nation that's ruled by theology, religion. It's not a theology. It's not a theocracy. It's not ruled by religion. See, Christianity is an aspect of America. At one point, it may have been a big aspect of America, but it's not at the center of America. Let me see if I got that word correctly. Correct. Yeah. Theocracy, a government by divine guidance or by officials who are regarded as divinely guided. Our government, the Israelite government, will be, I guess, if you could call it a theocracy, because like what, God is at the center of everything. Our government is predicated on the Lord. American government isn't predicated on the Lord. There's a such thing called a separation of church and state, and the church has the state has power over the church. The church has no power over the state. So once again, when you go into Jesus Christ, which is a religious symbol, and when you go into, once again, back into this, it says, verse 15, he had power to give life unto the image. He's saying the image is Jesus of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause many as will not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So essentially, he's saying that, hey, this image is Jesus Christ, and pretty much Jesus Christ religion, theocracy, is at the top of American, this beast system, which it isn't. It's not the center of the beast system at all. You could call it a big aspect of it, sure, but it's not the center of it at all. There's niggas who are above there's niggas in the beast system who are above religion. But I just want to. That's just something interesting, because like what? Once again, when you think of you having to worship, you think of what? There's a religious symbol that you have to it will be the driving force behind this beast system, but it isn't. If you have to bow down to it, and if you don't worship it, that you'll end up getting killed. It's not. But I hope that made sense. But I hope it was edifying. So all praises going on to Yahweh Bashem Mashah Bashem Gavadash. The one said it was positive teacher, great milson from a true Shawan to hopefully Israel and the church in Babylon, Great America.